Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Thoughts at 3 online assembly. For those of you who have no idea who I am, my name is Matt, and I'm part of the schools team at Southampton City Mission. As you are well aware, we are still in lockdown, and although we are unable to go into schools at the moment as we would usually, we have been sending out our online learning packs, our transition support resource pack, and have been doing these online assemblies using the wonders of modern technology all the way through the lockdown. And we are quickly approaching the end of the school term and in fact the school academic year. We have about a week and a half left to go now, and we thought it'd be a great idea just towards the end of this series of Thoughts at 3 that we've been doing over the last 15 weeks or so, to get to know some of our volunteer team on the schools team at Southampton City Mission. And we will be continuing with that today as we meet Duncan. He's going to join us in a second. He is going to answer some questions and he's going to pray for us just before we end. But as usual, if you haven't already liked our Facebook page, please do that. We are Southampton City Mission on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube at SCM Schools, and you can also find us on Instagram at SCM Schools as well. All the details are running along the bottom there as usual. I spoke to Ellie on Monday, and then yesterday Ellie spoke to Barry. And as I said, today we are chatting to Duncan. If you know anyone who knows Duncan and would like to ask him a question that they've always wanted to ask him, or they just want to embarrass him in some way, please do share this video in the next couple of minutes so that they can tune in and ask a question live. We would love you to say hello to us. So please say hello in the comments if you are watching live. Tell us your first name, what school you normally go to, or how you know Duncan, how you know City Mission, and put your comments there as well for Duncan so that he can answer them later on. But now we are going to get Duncan in the stream. So hopefully if I click the right buttons, then we can do that. Hello, Duncan.
Hello, Matt.
How are you doing, Duncan?
Yeah, doing good. Thank you, my friend. Very nice to be here.
Good. I think we've got a slight delay on your audio, but that's absolutely fine. We'll crack on and continue as we do. If we get disconnected, then just need to restart the browser or close the tab and open it again, and all should be good. First question for you this afternoon, Duncan. As you know, we're doing our Meet the Team series right now, and we are continuing with you. Your first question of 4 questions that we've prepared, and maybe some that will be on the live stream, is this. What do you get up to? Here we go. What do you get up to when you're not in schools with City Mission? For that, though, tell us maybe how long you've been with City Mission, and what schools you normally go into. Then answer the next question.
Well, that's a nice, simple introduction. Thanks very much. Normally, I work in City Mission and I work behind a desk and I manage things, manage people and teams. And I go into schools wherever I can, but it tends to be maybe once a week when we're not locked down. And I usually go into schools around the east side of the city where me and my family live, into Canes Hill, into Thornhill, into Hightown. One's in Bitton, one's in Harefield, Sholing. What was your first question? What do I do when I'm not working at City Mission? Oh, it feels a bit like with the delay I'm in Australia, but actually I'm just down the road from Matt, and I live in Thornhill with my family. We have two little kittens at the moment called Fen and Buddy, and they are busy tearing up the house, running up the curtains, eating things they shouldn't, chewing on cables because they're not quite old enough to be allowed out in the garden yet. So they're busy. I do have another job as well. I help lead a church in Thornhill, so as well as working for City Mission. And along with my kids, I'm a bit of a gamer. Like to play Star Wars Battlefront 2 with my son, and we're all getting into Minecraft Dungeons. Don't know if you've played that on the Xbox. Been playing that with the girls. And we're about to go camping. Love camping, love being outside, love having nothing to do, just sit around the fire and chat and read books and throw sticks at things. Love it.
Great, that sounds lovely. Yeah, we haven't got into the dungeons yet. We do play Minecraft, of course, but we haven't got into the dungeons yet. But I've been tempted, so maybe I'll start that at some point over the summer once all the school stuff is finished. But thanks for telling us a little bit about yourself there and what you get up to. Your second question for this afternoon is one that we often get asked in schools. How or why did you become a Christian?
That's a good question. I usually answer it completely differently each time. Not that I make something up, but it's a lifelong story, really. It's not like joining the Scouts for me, where one day I wasn't, and then they gave me a uniform, and then I was. When I was at primary school, I had a best friend called Ben, and Ben's dad was kind of like a vicar at this really posh school next where I lived, where you had to pay money to go to the school for older kids. And so Ben sometimes went along to his dad's church services at this little chapel in the school. And on a Sunday morning, I just started climbing over the wall. I had to get my dad's hammer and chisel because it's a tall wall, and illegally chip some toe holds into the wall so I could climb over the wall so I could go with Ben to this little chapel, which was quite old fashioned, and you got a little book and repeated the words. But somehow God just kind of drew me in, and I felt like he was inviting me. I felt God was wanting me, asking me, and kind of saying to me, look, I know you're just primary school age, but why don't we start now? Why don't we start now? There's no need to wait till you're older. So that was the start of this deepest friendship I've ever had with anyone or anything that carries on till today, my friendship with God.
Fantastic. That's a lovely, lovely answer. Thank you very much. I don't think I've actually heard you tell that story before.
Well, don't tell Tunbridge School that I made holes in their wall.
Of course, I won't. I would never dream of it. Good. So your third question, we do have a couple coming in on the chat, but I'm sure there will be more. And also, if you have joined the chat after we started or joined the live stream, please do say hello in the comments so we know you're watching. We can see that Rebecca's there and Ruth is there as well. Rebecca's liked the video. Ruth she's put an angry emoji on there. Maybe she's upset at you destroying school property. I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
Good. Well, your third question is this. What is your favorite Bible story? That could be the one that you like, or it could be one that you like telling in school.
Yeah, again, because this comes up sometimes in school's work, I don't have one favorite. I have one that's kind of working for me right now, one that I'm enjoying at the moment. And the one that's working for me at the moment is the story of Elijah and the prophets of Baal. So I'm hoping that none of your other friends in the last few days have been doing that one.
They haven't.
So it's a long time ago. It's in the Old Testament, way before Jesus. And the people of Israel are God's people, but they keep being unfaithful. They keep making gods out of stone, making gods out of wood and covering them with gold and saying, you're the God who saves us. You're the God who makes it rain on our crops. You're the God who keeps our children healthy, even though they've just made these gods themselves. And it's got to a really bad place where there's only one kind of prophet, one priest, one servant of God left called Elijah. And they get to a bit of a showdown, and they go up this massive mountain. And Elijah says there's 450 prophets of Baal, this god they've made out of wood and stone and gold. And they're having an argument about who the true God is. And Elijah says, look, this is what we'll do. We'll both build an altar. We'll both put wood on the altar. We'll both have a bull, an adult male cow, and we'll kill the bull, put the meat on the altar, and then whichever God sends down fire, that's the true God. And these 450 prophets have a little conflab and a chat, and they go, yes, okay, this is brilliant. This is what we'll do. And Elijah goes, okay, you go first. So they put the stone down, they put the wood down, they put the meat on top, and then they start praying and shouting and chanting and stamping and walking round and round and dancing, and nothing happens. And Elijah starts taking the mick, and he's going, maybe your God's asleep. You should shout a bit louder. And then he says, maybe your God's gone off for the toilet, and you need to shout to attract their attention. And so these 450 prophets of Baal, they keep shouting and praying and stamping and screaming up until midday, when they're so hoarse they can't even speak anymore. And Elijah says, all right, you've had your turn. He sets up an altar, 12 big stones, all the wood, puts the meat from the sacrifice on it, and then he says, I'm not finished. And he digs a ditch all the way around it, fills it with water, pours water over the entire thing 3 times, so it's sopping wet, and he lifts up his hands, looks up to God and goes, true God of Israel, and bam, fire. I mean, fire, Matt. I'm talking about, it burns up the meat, it burns up the wood, it burns up the stones, it burns up, licks up all of the water. It's dry as a bone. All these prophets of Baal fall on their face, and Elijah says, and who's the true God? I love it, because in my life, God is normally gentle and kind and sweet and looking after me and rescuing me from my mistakes. And I love that story because it reminds me that God is powerful as well.
Fantastic. That's a great story. Yeah, we love that story. We often do that story on our Stones as a Symbol Day when we go in and do that Question of Faith Day in schools. It's a great story. So we have got some questions coming in on the live stream. But before we go to those, I'll just give you a very last prepared question, which is frequently asked again in schools, is what do you enjoy most about being part of the schools team? Or I guess because you're not just on the schools team at City Mission, but you work in different aspects of City Mission. What do you enjoy most about being part of the SCM family, I suppose?
Oh, I'm going to answer about the schools team. And the thing I enjoy most about being part of the schools team is going into schools and having fun with young people, because the other aspects of my job tend to be quite office-based and adult and talking and meetings and strategy and budgets and things. And going into school and playing with kids, telling stories, dressing up, messing about, doing games is brilliant. And young people are so good at having fun, and adults can get so boring, and I can take myself so seriously that I love to escape into the school and have a laugh.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that one. Great. So we have got some people watching. Teresa would like to say hello, Duncan and Matt. She really enjoyed your story, Duncan. She'd like to know, what is your favourite food to cook on a fire?
Oh, really? Well, we have, as a family, we have a metal tripod, 3 rods, that hangs a big cauldron over a over a campfire. And one of our favorite things to do is just to take 2 or 3 hours preparing a stew in there, where you just slowly, while you're chatting and watching the wildlife, make the vegetables and everything and put it in there and add some spices and then put some meat in and then stir it up and leave it to simmer for ages. And then so you kind of take hours as one of the main events of the day is cooking this thing over the fire, and then have it in the evening as the sun sets. So that's my favorite way to cook on a fire.
Sounds delicious. Sounds really good. Very nice. Rebecca's saying, sorry, I didn't mean to send an angry emoji. Actually, it wasn't you, Rebecca. I think it was Ruth, but I think she pressed the wrong button by mistake. Ruth's going to be on with us tomorrow, so I can talk to, or Ellie can talk about that then. But she says she loves hearing about your job and your life and so on and so forth, which is really nice. She hasn't asked a question though. Ellie would like to know, what is your favourite memory from when you were at school in primary or secondary school? We're talking a lot about transition from primary to secondary at the moment, so maybe something to do with that, I don't know. But what's your favourite memory from when you were in school? Did you have people coming in and doing what you do now, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, occasionally we had, at secondary school particularly, occasionally we had people come in and do presentations about stuff. We even had a band once, a Christian rock band, who came in and played, which was very strange in quite an old-fashioned school. I remember my history teacher, particularly when I was in year 7 and 8. He was a lovely man and just really passionate about explaining how people in the past were just the same as us, just in different circumstances. And he has some fantastic ideas. Like he made us dig a hole in the school playing fields and sit in it and pretend to be First World War soldiers. And he just kind of really made history come alive. And that was probably my favorite memory, was his lessons, because he was so excited and passionate about the subject.
Great. And I think it makes a difference, actually, when people are passionate about something, it does bring it to life. And that's one of the things, actually, that schools tell us a lot. Teachers say, look, we tried to teach this last year, but because we don't believe it, we don't really understand it, all we could do was kind of read the stories out of a book. But when you guys come in, you just breathe life into it because you believe it and you're so passionate about it. So, yeah, totally get that. Barry is saying, well, hopefully that answers your question there, Ellie. Barry is saying that he really loves your range of T-shirts, although he can see that you're not wearing one now. And you're actually looking quite smart. So thanks for looking smart for us, Duncan. But he would like to know, what's your favourite T-shirt?
There's a big question. You know, people ask you about your favourite stuff all the time. I don't really think that's how my mind works. I don't really have favourite anything. A T-shirt I really like has the 4 Sith, so it's got Vader and the Emperor and Darth Maul and Kylo Ren in a position and with a silhouette in the same way as a very famous Queen rock album cover. So that's my favourite, 4 Sith Lords. Oh,
you a bit of a fan of the dark side?
Yeah, I think they get bad press. I think they get all the best stuff, really. If I was a Jedi, I think I'd like to rock around with a red lightsaber and a TIE Advanced fighter for a bit before, you know, turning to the light side at the end.
Oh, that's an interesting conversation that could go on for some time there. But
we might lose any audience we have.
Yeah, true. However, we have to get on to our last question. I think this is the last question coming in now. So Lucy would like to know, what is your best memory of being in school with City Mission? So one highlight from your many years of visiting schools across the city, just as we finish up.
I think some of the things which have made me laugh the most is when we make really elaborate props for assemblies or for lessons or for games and things. So there was an enormous papier-mâché pig, which you open a flap in its tummy and pull out sausages, which were balloons, pink balloons. And we had some adventures with that. It didn't always work out the way you expected. We've also had big plant pots, which when you pulled secret things made plants grow up, put really tall in it. And because I'm not very arts and crafty, I'm not particularly good with my hands, it's always a little bit of a gamble as to whether it's going to work or be a complete disaster. I remember once Chris, who was the first person to go into schools and who taught us what to do, he had a little magic trick where you were supposed to put your finger in and then pretend to cut it off. And we had about, 120 year 5s, year 6s in this hall, and he tried to do it and it didn't. It just hit his finger and then the entire contraption fell apart. And I learned a lot about Chris accepting the laughter and going, oh, it hasn't worked. And then quick as a flash, turned it around, used it as an illustration about how sometimes life doesn't go the way you expect it to. And I just thought, even if the props fall apart, which they often do, you can carry on and still get some kind of life lesson out of it. There you go, Lucy. There's an answer.
Absolutely. That's a great answer. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon, Duncan. It's been really good to chat. And just as we finish up, would you be happy just for a moment, just to pray for all the people who are watching and who will watch later on as well, please, just as we finish up?
Yeah, sure. Father God, thank you. Thank you that you want to be all of our friends, that you want that friendship with every one of us, and that you're never too young to start. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for calling me. Thank you for the mysterious and strange ways that we've walked together through my life. And I pray for everyone who hears this, watches this, hears about this, that they would know that invitation is there for them as well, Lord, to be your friend. Amen.
Amen. Brilliant. I'm going to say goodbye to you now, Dunk, but please do stay in the green room, because I know there is one person who's very excited to have a little chat with you. I think you might know who that might be.
Goodbye.
Maybe not. It's one of your biggest fans outside of your family. Any ideas?
Is it Charlie? Is it Maggie?
There you go. You got it. It's Maggie. So stay on the line. And once we've finished, once I've let everybody know what's coming up tomorrow, then she'll come and have a little chat with you. But thank you so much for this afternoon, Duncan. Thanks for taking the time to chat to us.
For all the questions, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Fantastic. So we will be back at the same time tomorrow, 3 o'clock, and Ellie will be chatting with Ruth, who is one of our most, actually, if not the most important volunteer, who helps us not just in schools, but also in the office as well. And if you've ever seen us in school, you know we take in those big blue boxes with all the craft resources and the props that Duncan was talking about and all of the other stuff that we use. And Ruth is the person who for years and years and years has packed those boxes week after week after week. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing her have a chat with Ellie tomorrow. That's the 9th of July. And also don't forget, for anyone who's in year 6 at the moment, that we are carrying on with our transition support stuff that's going on online, and the Circle Selfie Collaborative Art Challenge, which is happening right now, that people are sending in their self-portraits, which we are going to stitch together to make a big art piece over the summer holidays. So please do get involved with that. And all it remains for me to say, hang on, we've got a comment coming in. Oh, Barry is saying Ruth is awesome. Yes, you're absolutely right, Barry. She is. But then so are you. And so is Duncan. It's been a great afternoon, a great session today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay safe. God bless. And we will see you soon. Bye-bye.